everyone and welcome back to my channel. In the discussion of valvular heart diseases, I associated aortic stenosis with subclavian steal syndrome. I want to shed more light on how subclavian steal syndrome can be confused with aortic stenosis. The reason why subclavian steal syndrome is usually confused with aortic stenosis is because of syncope. In aortic stenosis, a person can experience syncope and dizziness with exertion. The reason behind that is because the brain is not getting enough blood. With subclavian steal syndrome, what happens is that blood is shunted away from the brain to the arm. And that results in the person experiencing syncope, vertigo, diplopia, dysarthria, nausea, vomiting, and visual disturbances. I want to talk about the anatomy behind subclavian steal syndrome. Let's begin here. Let's suppose this is the ascending aorta coming from the heart. And this is the arch of the aorta. The arch of the aorta divides into brachiocephalic trunk, left common carotid artery, and left subclavian artery. The brachiocephalic trunk in turn divides into right vertebral artery and right subclavian artery. The right subclavian artery further divides into right vertebral artery and thyrocervical trunk. Right subclavian artery further goes and forms axillary artery and later on brachial artery. On this side, the arch of aorta divides into left common carotid artery, which further divides into left internal carotid artery and left external carotid artery. Along with that, it divides into left subclavian artery, which divides into left vertebral artery and left thyrocervical trunk. Usually what happens is that the ascending aorta will bring oxygenated blood from the left side of the heart and distribute it to the rest of the body. This includes taking the blood to the axillary artery and then to the brachial artery and to the arm. Sometimes when a plaque is dislodged at the brachiocephalic trunk before it can divide into right vertebral artery and subclavian artery, this can impede the supply of the blood to this area. So what will happen is that because of this plaque, because the blood cannot go in this direction, the blood will go in this direction and in this direction. So who is going to supply this part of the body? The right vertebral artery, which is part of the posterior circulation of the brain stem, will divert blood from the brain to the arm. This is the scenario if the plaque happens on the right side. Similarly, if the plaque happens on the left side, there will be shunting of blood from the left vertebral artery to the left arm. And this will result in similar symptoms like syncope, dizziness, vertigo, nausea, vomiting, and visual disturbances. The way we can differentiate subclavian steal syndrome from aortic stenosis is by the difference in blood pressure in the right arm and the left arm. The blood pressure in the right arm will be different than the left arm in subclavian steal syndrome, but it will be the same when it comes to aortic stenosis. Another difference is that the murmur of aortic stenosis will be heard at the right sternal border in the second intercostal space, whereas the murmur of the subclavian steal syndrome will be heard a little above this murmur. These are the two ways we can differentiate between subclavian steal syndrome and aortic stenosis. This was a short discussion about subclavian steal syndrome and the difference between subclavian steal syndrome and aortic stenosis. I hope you liked this video and learned something from this video. If you did, please subscribe to my channel and share this channel with someone that you know who might also benefit from the video. Thank you for watching. Until next time, bye!